What's up? In this video I'm going to show you the best settings for recording video and photo on your iPhone 16 Pro, so let's jump right in. First, of course, we're going to have to go to the settings and then type in or click on camera. Now we're in the camera controls, and in here first we're going to go to record video, which is currently set to 1080p at 30 fps, but of course to get the maximum amount of cinematic video out of your iPhone you should set it to 4K 24 fps. Of course you can also film in 4K 60 or 120 fps depending on what you're filming and depending on the project, but generally you want to film in 24 fps. And of course you can also quickly change the resolution and fps in your camera when you're about to film. Once we switch to video, we can see up here is 4K, which we can change to HD or back to 4K, and also scroll through the different frame rates. So let's go back into the settings. We don't need the PAL formats. Of course, we want some enhanced stabilization, but we don't care about the action mode lower light right now, as we can also turn that on in the camera app right here. HDR video also needs to be turned on. Auto FPS is also good, and the rest we don't care about. So let's go back to the main camera settings and go to the next one, which is record slow-mo. Now this of course depends on your needs and what you prioritize. You could of course select 4K at 120 fps to have the best image resolution, but not that big of a slow-mo. I personally would go for the 1080p at 240 fps option, as we can always change our main video recording settings from 24 to 120 fps. So let's go back to the main camera settings again and go to record cinematic. Of course we also want that at, you guessed it, 4K at 24 fps. Everything else is bullshit. Record sound, I would go for spatial audio. Let the intelligence decide what we capture, but you could of course also go for stereo or mono. And with noise reduction is always a good thing. So let's go back to the main camera settings again and click on the formats. First, photo mode. Of course we want to go to the maximum amount of megapixels, not 12 but 24 megapixels. Go back to formats, and now we have to decide between high efficiency and most compatible. High efficiency reduces the file size, captures photos and videos in high efficiency HEIF and HEVC format, but most compatible will of course always be JPEG and H.264. However, for cinematic video and 4K at 60 fps or higher, an HDR video always requires high efficiency. So basically you're forced to use high efficiency mode if you want to get the most out of your camera. However, again, it's not compatible with everything. One real life use case example is if you're taking photos to sell something on eBay, like photos of your whatever old bike that you want to sell on eBay, because it won't take the .hike photos, so you always have to put it in a JPEG converter to convert them to JPEGs for you to upload them to eBay. So if you would have shot them with the most compatible setting, you wouldn't have to do that because they already would have been JPEG. But again, high efficiency is for the best quality, so let's stay in high efficiency. But remember, if you're taking photos for eBay, switch it to JPEG so you don't have to convert it from HEIF to JPEG. Next one is Pro RAW and resolution control. Of course, we want to switch that on and then go to Pro Default and select Pro RAW Max up to 48 megapixels and also JPEG lossless most compatible. One rule of thumb you can remember if you're not sure which one is the best setting for the best quality, you can always take a look at the different formats, and you can see down here the file sizes are approximately 5 megabytes, 11 and 20, 5, 18 and 46, and 5, 25 and 75. So of course the best quality will always require the most amount of space, so the higher the approximate file sizes, the better the quality. So let's go back from here and go down here to the video capture. Of course we want to enable Apple ProRes, and when it comes to the encoding, HDR or log. Again, depending on your project, log of course always is the better option if you want to have the most amount of detail and the most flexibility in color grading and post-production. But of course it will require a heavier amount of post-production, so if you don't want to deal with that and just have good videos straight out of your iPhone, you should choose HDR. So let's go back. That's basically it. Those are all the important options. I wouldn't bother with the other ones. Those aren't really that important to get the best quality out of your iPhone. So that's it. I'm gonna stop the screen recording. That's it from this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to hit that like button and also consider subscribing right here for more videos just like this one. You can find more iPhone related videos right here and also here. And I will hopefully see you in the next one. Goodbye. No, that would be cooler.